Hi, my name is Monique Aids, and I am using a vertebrate collection to analyze bat species representation and bone conservation. So the main part of my study was examining how many bat species are present in the Fresno State collection and how many specimens are present in the Fresno State collection. And then the second part that I did not quite get to finish was how complete the disarticulated skeletons of the bats were. My main hypotheses were that the bat specimens are underrepresented due to their crepuscular lifestyle, and this I compared with similarly sized rodents that did not have that same lifestyle in order to kind of measure how underrepresented they are. And then the second hypothesis I had was that bat skeletons are less complete due to their more delicate skeleton. Like I said, unfortunately, I did not get to collect the data in order to make any claims on that. However, I did have some preliminary data that I will touch on that is on the right side. So my main methods were I originally conducted a primary analysis of the Fresno State digitized mammal collection. And I did this basically to examine what species of bats we had present and how many specimens we had. And then I also looked at the mammal, specifically the rodents we had and how many of those we had. And that was kind of just to build my procedure moving forward and to build an abstract and my hypotheses. Secondly, I went into the vertebrate collection and I randomly selected specimens of bats and rodents. I took 4 bats and 5 rodents. That was kind of a randomly selected number. There wasn't really anything that went into that. It was just kind of how many skeletons were there and kind of what they looked like. But it was a pretty random selection. And then I conducted a more exhaustive analysis of the Fresno State vertebrate list, and that was compared to the California list of species, and that helped us weed out exactly how well everything is represented and in terms of what is present in California. That was all done using Excel and kind of manipulating things in Excel. So getting into my conclusions, there are 26 bat species in California and 22 of these species are present in our collection. In comparison, there are 99 rodent species in California and 67 of those are present in our collection. So as far as species representation, bats are doing pretty well. In comparison to the rodents, there's just so many rodents, it's hard to have that many in the collection. The other findings we had, there are 98 bat specimens in the collection, while there are 2,648 rodent specimens in our collection. So again, that kind of plays into my original hypothesis that these bats are going to have far less specimen because of their lifestyle and the fact that they are harder to get to and harder to find. So getting into kind of my preliminary findings as far as the bat skeletons do appear to be a lot finer than the rodents. The rodent skeletons, the bones are a lot more fragile, which also could play into why we don't have as many specimens present. So getting into my charts over here, we can see that we have out of our collection is 61% rodents and then 13% bats, which isn't too bad at all considering how many bat species there are versus how many rodent species there are. So bats really measure up pretty well. It is the second largest piece of that pie chart there, which I do think is pretty impressive considering how hard they are to get to and how hard they are to find. But getting into our collection specimen, that's where we really see a drop in bats. We can see that we do have 86% of our collection is made up of rodent skeletons, whereas only 3% of our collection is made up of bats. So we do see a significant drop in what kind of percentage of bats we're seeing in what percentage of bat specimen we have in our collection, which does play into my original hypothesis that they have a much more different lifestyle, which leads to them not being able to be found and not being as accessible for people to study. And then getting over to the very right side here, these are 2 of my randomly selected skeletons. I have my canyon bat, which is Parastrellus hesperus. You can see what it'll look like alive there. And then down below, I have my desert wood rat, which is Neotoma lepida. So looking at these, it's pretty apparent just from first look, and I did actually handle these, so I also have that data to back this up. The bones of the bats are much finer, they're much easier to break, and they're built to fly, whereas a wood rat, they're not built to fly. So the bones are a lot more dense and they are harder to break and they're harder to work with. So that really plays into that. So moving forward with this, I hope to fully do an analysis of the bats versus rodents and really get an analysis of what those bones look like and what plays into why we don't have as much bat representation. I also plan to fully preserve a bat and a rodent myself, so I can see maybe some problems that come along with this preservation process that could also play into why bats are so underrepresented as far as specimen. And that is all I have today. Thank you so much for listening. And that is all. Thank you.